Chapter 19, Cleveland, Ohio, August 6, 2015, early evening. The ambush is set. Get ready! 10 men working to gain the Republican presidential nomination stand on a stage at the Quicken Loans Arena, anticipating debate questions from 3 Fox News journalists. The politicians are aware that basketball superstar LeBron James usually patrols this vast building, and they can only hope to score like he does. And I will. It will not happen, because I've already got this. This is the first of 12 Republican debates, and the most anticipated, because one Donald J. Trump, that's me, is standing tall in front of myriad television cameras. Since June, Trump has been pounding home his message that America is in serious trouble. It is. And that it's all because of career politicians, like Barack Obama. Now those political people have a chance to verbally challenge Donald Trump, and 24 million Americans have tuned in to watch the cage match, the largest cable news audience in history. I make history. Trump fears no one on the stage. He is certain he can out-talk all of them. And as he has stated, there is no other candidate that has impressed him. Not one. In addition, there is a large pro-Trump crowd in the arena. He gets the loudest ovation when introduced this Thursday evening. That bolsters his confidence. Yes, it does. Jeb Bush, the former governor of Florida, is considered the Republican frontrunner at this point. He did well managing his state for 8 years, especially reworking the public school system and keeping taxes low. But the governor has 2 problems as he stands next to Trump on the debate stage. First, he is dull. He even puts me to sleep. And second, his brother's presidency was stigmatized by the Iraq invasion fiasco. It was stupid. Donald Trump will hammer Jeb Bush on both those things. Senators Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and Rand Paul do not have national profiles, so Trump does not see them as much of a threat. Nope, they're not threats to me. Cruz is ultra-conservative, Rubio more moderate, and Paul a contrarian libertarian. Of the 3, only Marco Rubio of Florida has breakout potential because of his youth and ethnicity. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is glib and aggressive, so Donald Trump knows he has to parry him quickly if it comes to that. Yes, indeed. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is similar to Jeb Bush. Not much charisma. He's dull. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is smart, and so is pundit Ben Carson, but polling shows that neither of the 2 has a constituency, although Carson is beginning to move up. Finally, Ohio Governor John Kasich turned his state around economically and accomplished many positive things in Columbus. But he's wonkish and earnest, a hard sell in a nation dominated by emotional thinking and short attention spans, including mine. So Donald Trump is feeling strong on this humid August night. Yes, I am. Strong and bold. Unlike most of the other candidates, he has not pored over research papers or even rehearsed. I don't do that. There's no need. He has his debate wrapped down, and it goes this way. President Obama is a disaster, a weak leader who does not stand up for America. Hillary Clinton is no different from Obama, except she's more corrupt. Jeb Bush is soft on illegal immigration, which is a grave threat to the nation. And all the others could never run a great campaign like Trump does, or make great deals for Americans. Only I can do that. With those things ready to go, Trump is anxious to let it fly. Fly away. He is a bit nervous, but will not show a trace of it. I'm never nervous. Bill, you're on about that. I'm not nervous. Directly facing the 10 Republicans are Fox News moderators Bret Baier, Chris Wallace, and Megyn Kelly. Oh God, no, not Megyn Kelly. They were chosen by their boss, Roger Ailes, for various reasons. Baier is the face of Fox News Channel's hard news operation, anchoring a daily 1-hour program that is efficient and honest. He is also safe. That means he will not do or say anything that might raise some hell. Chris Wallace, the son of the legendary CBS newsman Mike Wallace, has the pedigree and intelligence to make the debate a smooth flow. He is a prestige person at Fox News. The third interrogator, Megyn Kelly, the she-devil, is the wild card. She is by far Fox News' most glamorous personality and an attorney to boot. She has worked her way up at Fox from Supreme Court correspondent to morning co-anchor to afternoon solo host to primetime anchor following my program at 9 o'clock. Many in the media loathe Fox News because of its conservative bias, but Megyn Kelly generally gets good press. In fact, a few years back, GQ magazine, very sympathetic to the left, would feature Kelly in a steamy pictorial, an unheard of occurrence for a national newswoman. The incident caught Fox News brass by surprise, but nothing happened to Kelly publicly. By then, she had become a huge star. Who cares? I'm the best. Roger Ailes selected Megyn Kelly as one of the debate people because Fox needed a woman journalist on the panel, and he knew that Megyn had the ear of the Murdochs, who own Fox News. She was what they call in the entertainment business the it girl. She had access to the very top of the corporation, a rarity for an employee. Yeah, that figures. Of course, all the high-profile anchors at Fox News wanted to work the debate. In 20 years, I was never selected, but I think my pitch to Ailes was somewhat unique. It went something like this. So, why don't you shock the world and let me ask the questions? Come on, you know 80% of what the candidates say is BS. I'll cut that down to 10% by calling them on it. No. Why not? Because we'd like to host another debate sometime this century. Roger Ailes was implying that my questioning would discourage candidates from showing up. That's because they're career politicians. And career politicians are just full of, BS. Could that possibly be true? In truth, I understood. Ailes was not a politically correct guy, but he was a businessman. FNC ownership wanted Kelly, and they got her. Yep. Actually, the two most qualified journalists at Fox to moderate the debate were Brit Hume and Charles Krauthammer. I would have turned it confrontational. They would have kept it informational. Megyn Kelly chose my path. The behind-the-scenes prep for any debate is intense. The moderators usually do much more homework than the candidates. With 3 people asking questions, there has to be a division of labor. All hands have to know what's on deck to avoid redundancy and confusion. So, you have a battery of producers dividing up questions among the moderators and deciding to whom each question will be directed. At this point, things can get testy. When you have 3 ambitious journalists, everyone wants significant airtime and to ask questions of specific candidates. Bayer, Wallace, and Kelly knew that all eyes would be on Trump, because I'm the best. That was the zone where news would be made. I make news. Fox News Channel debate prep had been a 3-week process. From the beginning, there was tension between Kelly and the men. She knew she was a primetime queen and was in no mood to be a team player. Bayer, Wallace, and the producers were tentative around Megyn, knowing how much power she had within the organization. Shortly before the debate began, a decision was made to have each moderator quiz the candidates on their vulnerabilities, that is, their weak points. Something I don't have, a weak point. Kelly wanted Trump. Kelly got Trump. Yep, that figures. That decision was not political in any way. The consensus about Kelly was that she did not care much about ideology. She was not a political party person. Her focus was primarily on herself, and by extension, on Donald Trump. What a selfish woman. The debate opened with a few questions of little consequence, the candidates and moderators feeling each other out. Then, in what would become one of the most famous political debate moments of all time, Megyn Kelly suddenly morphed from a journalist into a prosecutor. She was an attorney, wasn't she? Her voice firm, her eyes locked on candidate Trump. She commanded the room, only for the moment. Mr. Trump, one of the things people love about you is that you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account, only Rosie O'Donnell. No, it wasn't. For the record, it was well beyond Rosie O'Donnell. Yes, I'm sure it was, sarcastically speaking. Your Twitter account has several disparaging comments about women's looks. You once told a contestant on Celebrity Apprentice it would be a pretty picture to see her on her knees. Does that sound to you like the temperament of a man we should elect as president? And how will you answer the charge from Hillary Clinton, who is likely to be the Democratic nominee, that you are part of the war on women? I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either. The country is in big trouble. We don't win anymore. We lose to China. We lose to Mexico, both in trade and at the border. We lose to everybody. And frankly, what I say, and oftentimes it's fun, it's kidding. We have a good time. What I say is what I say. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be, based on the way you've treated me. But I wouldn't do that. The rest of the debate unfolded with no candidate standing out. Of course not, because I'm the best. However, Donald Trump spoke the most, clocking in at 10 minutes 32 seconds. Jeb Bush was next at 8 minutes 30 seconds. The other 8 candidates barely had enough time to introduce themselves. It was clear that the Fox News crew believed Trump and Bush were the frontrunners, with Cruz and Rubio second tier. That first showdown in Cleveland was the most discussed of the 12 debates, and by far the most dramatic, with the Trump woman component. It's so stupid. There is no war on women. If you watch the video of the Kelly-Trump interaction, a few things emerge. Kelly's tone is accusatory, not inquisitive. She had a perfect right to pose that kind of provocative question to a politician, but there was an advocacy to her query, and the words, war on women, are instructive. There is no war on women. What war on women? That has not been established as fact. What did I tell you? It's an opinion. Only an opinion. So Kelly, linking Donald Trump to a subjective point of view he might not agree with, could be considered unfair and biased against him. It is. Megyn Kelly's question was obviously deeply researched and painstakingly written out. It was clearly not designed to have Trump explain anything. Rather, the question was the classic gotcha query, a journalistic hand grenade that could not be challenged because Mr. Trump had, indeed, used pejorative language towards some women. But under what circumstances? The potential voter could not possibly know. In her multifaceted question, Kelly did not provide any context for her litany of verbal accusations against Trump, nor did she frame her words in any other way but as condemnation. She's certainly biased. It might be argued that Kelly wanted to be perceived as holding a brutish man responsible for verbally assaulting a number of unidentified females, rather than trying to elicit an important response from a presidential candidate. Her tone starkly implied that women were victims of candidate Trump and that she, in virtue, was calling him on it. Subsequently, Megyn Kelly advanced that protector of women theme on many occasions against many men, in effect becoming a one-person media judge and jury. Because of Kelly's challenge and her insinuation that Donald Trump was irresponsible toward women, the candidate faced the issue throughout the campaign. His enemies, often militant anti-Trump lawyers, besieged him with accusations, which the press then gleefully exploited. It's so stupid. Even when it was proved that some women were paid to accuse Donald Trump of wrongdoing, they were paid! The theme continued. Trump was disrespectful to women, and no female should ever vote for him. Those women were paid to say that. It is worth noting that a few weeks later, Mr. Trump would actually increase the gender pressure on himself by making fun of candidate Carly Fiorina's face. Months after that, a video was made public in which Donald Trump was caught describing his awful conduct toward women. Later, we will chronicle that story in these pages. This is so ridiculous. On this debate night, Megyn Kelly's question could, of course, have been much shorter and delivered in a far more objective way. For example, Mr. Trump, in the past, you have publicly insulted some women by mocking their appearances. Do you regret doing that, especially because you are now seeking the highest of office in the land? That I would have respected. Very tough question, but not nearly as provocative as the one Megyn Kelly put forth. Also, depending on how Trump answered, follow-up questions could have more clearly exposed his attitude towards civil discourse when discussing women. For his part, Donald Trump stayed cool on the debate stage. Yes, I did. But he was angry. Oh, I was angry indeed. He attempted to deflect the question as a trifle compared to the big problems facing the country. But then he got personal, his annoyance toward Kelly becoming obvious. I was really annoyed with her. That's why I hate her. As a high-profile anchor at Fox News, I instantly knew that the media would be asking me about the debate controversy, as it was the story emerging from the telecast. Although I thought Meghan's tone was harsh and calculated to bring attention to herself, in my opinion, the woman question was a legitimate one. One other, however, nuance would never be reported by the press, which basically wanted to create trouble for Fox News and Donald Trump. Anything I op-ed would be used in a harmful way, no matter how well thought out it was. So, I decided to say nothing, a rarity for me, until I told candidate Trump on the air that Kelly's question was within journalistic bounds. Apparently, Meghan took offense that I did not use my program to immediately support her, and she was not shy about stating that on many occasions. She's self-centered. She's so full of herself. Speaking for FNC, Roger Ailes publicly stood by Megyn Kelly, of course. But the backstory is fascinating and did have a direct effect on the presidential campaign. The day after the debate, Kelly was lionized by the liberal media but condemned by many conservatives. Overnight, she became a polarizing figure. Trump supporters loudly criticized Megyn, and a good number of those folks watch Fox News. So, even as Megyn was being worshipped in the anti-Trump precincts, there was trouble in Fox News City. Definitely. Later, the New York Times and others would speculate, using Kelly's 2016 book, Settle for More, as a source, that there had been collusion before the debate began between Megyn Kelly and Fox News management on the Trump question. That is false. Of course it's false. Fake news. On debate night, Roger Ailes and his wife Beth were watching the telecast in their Cresskill, New Jersey home. According to Mrs. Ailes, as Megyn Kelly began reciting the list of offenses she assigned to Trump, the Fox News chairman bolted upright and said, "What the F is that? I can't believe she's doing that." I couldn't believe it either. Ailes spent much of the night and all of the next day fielding calls about the situation. One of those calls was from Donald Trump. Oh, I had a lot to say. The Fox News boss also made some calls himself. One of them was to debate producer Bill Salmon. Ailes was furious over the Kelly question because it was making his life a living hell. Serves you right. There has been so much false stuff written about Fox News that it actually rivals the inaccuracies stated about Donald Trump. Agenda-driven writers rarely tell the truth, and it is important that Americans understand that. In other words, America needs to understand that there are some news stations that are false and fake. I call them the fake news media. Maverick journalist Hunter S. Thompson did state the truth about journalism more than 40 years ago. There are a lot of ways to practice the art of journalism, and one of them is to use your art like a hammer to destroy the right people, who usually deserve to be crippled because they are wrong. Yes, indeed. I agree with that. Thompson's statement sums up the attitude of advocacy news agencies. They were small and rare when he was reporting in the 1970s and 1980s. Now they are common. Too common. Corporations well understand that millions of Americans want their political and social opinions reinforced in the media, so many folks choose to consume news from ideological operations, and there are vast amounts of money to be made from those slanted presentations. It's all about the money. If an information outlet clearly defines its point of view, there should not be a beef. The consumer then knows what he or she is getting. But when a newspaper like the New York Times markets itself as an unbiased news provider, that's false. The entire industry is severely damaged. Non-liberals will not get a fair hearing in the Times, or at CNN, or at MSNBC, or at the Washington Post, and there are plenty of others. In fact, all those agencies have used their power to get certain individuals, Donald Trump being one of them. They tried to attack me. When he began his quest for the presidency, Trump naively thought he could win over some media people to his cause. Fox News was among that group. That's what I thought. But Roger Ailes, having a close relationship with the Bush family, initially favored Jeb Bush. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Ailes, however, rarely imposed his belief system on his employees, understanding that it is dangerous for any news executive to do. In my 20-plus years at FNC, neither Ailes nor anyone else even suggested a political point of view to me. It was known within the organization that Roger Ailes did not believe President Obama's policies had been successful, but while tough on Mr. Obama at times, FNC did not push any of the Republican candidates, allowing the GOP chips to fall where they might. Yes, they did. The day after the Kelly-Trump shootout, Friday, August 7, 2015, Roger Ailes was driving with his teenage son to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, for a tour of the Civil War battlefield. Ailes had spent the morning trying to figure out how to handle the Kelly controversy. First, he believed that no one in Fox News management knew in advance that Megyn was going to drop a verbal bomb on Donald Trump. Then the question becomes, did Brett Baer, Chris Wallace, and their producers know in advance and not tell management? Wouldn't surprise me if they did. Within Fox News headquarters, the word was that Kelly's question was discussed among the moderators, but no one called Roger Ailes about it. Apparently, there was also some discussion about the ramifications of Kelly confronting candidate Trump, but everyone knew that Megyn Kelly was not subject to the same rules that govern most FNC employees. So, in effect, she was on her own if she tossed the Molotov cocktail. As chairman of Fox News, Ailes knew he had to support Megyn Kelly, or the press, hostile to FNC in general, would crush the organization. A news agency simply cannot side with a political candidate over a hand-picked debate moderator because it would lose all credibility. So, when candidate Trump's call came in to Roger Ailes as he sat in the back seat of a car with his son, the conversation was strained. Ailes had known Donald Trump for years, and the two men went at it. I let him have a piece of my mind. Trump's position was that Megyn Kelly had purposefully embarrassed him and that Ailes should scold her publicly. He should. She deserves it. She needs to be scolded publicly. Ailes replied that this was not possible, but that he would speak with her in private. Donald Trump said that that was not acceptable and that he would no longer deal with FNC. That's what you get. You get what you deserve. That scenario was related to me by Roger himself, who was agitated by the entire situation. I told him that Trump needed Fox News and that he would eventually cool down. I was half right, as we will see. Sure thing, sure thing. After the first debate, few political analysts really knew how the American public would react, including me. We had to wait for polling to indicate how much, if any, damage had been done to Donald Trump by Megyn Kelly. We didn't have to wait long. So in other words, Megyn Kelly sucks. She's a terrible woman, she's a terrible person, and it's all right here. And that's why I despise Megyn Kelly.